All right, I got to take some time to address this here.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
Did you hear about the latest shocking twist in the world of celebrity scandals? Picture this, on the very day Diddy got arrested, Marjorie Harvey decided it was the perfect moment to file for divorce from Steve Harvey. Coincidence? Some people think not. In fact, this whole situation is stirring up all kinds of wild rumors that tie Steve Harvey, the beloved TV host and comedian, right into Diddy's downward spiral. But let's take a step back and look at how all this came crashing down.
This took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
First off, in case you've been living under a rock, Diddy, or as some still call him, Puff Daddy, has been arrested. And we're not talking about a minor offense here. The charges. Let's just say they're serious. We're talking conspiracy, trafficking, and even more alarming accusations that have the entertainment world gasping. But Diddy's problems don't just stop with him. It's like a ripple effect. The bigger Diddy's fall gets, the more people he's dragging down with him. And one of those people just might be Steve Harvey. Yeah, you heard that right. Steve Harvey, the guy who's been all smiles and dad jokes on our screens, might be caught up in the same storm that's sinking Diddy.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
Let's rewind a bit. For years, Diddy has been a titan in the entertainment world, building an empire from his music career, business ventures, and his flashy persona. But what we didn't see was the dark side behind all that glitz and glam. Diddy's legendary parties, rumored to be the hottest ticket in town, are now being exposed for what they really were: wild, scandalous events where anything and everything went down. And guess who's been rumored to attend some of these over-the-top soirees? Yep, none other than Steve Harvey.
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact.
Now, Steve Harvey is known for his sharp suits, his motivational speeches, and being the ultimate family man. His entire brand is built around his image as a self-made man who pulled himself up from the streets of Cleveland to become one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood. So when rumors started flying that Steve had some kind of involvement in Diddy's notorious parties, fans were absolutely floored. Could it be true? Could Steve Harvey have been part of the same circle that's now crashing down with Diddy?
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
Let's just say, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. People are now speculating that Steve wasn't just an innocent bystander. There are whispers that he knew way more than he let on, and with the kind of charges Diddy is facing, it's not hard to imagine that some pretty big names are involved. After all, Diddy's not the type to roll solo. He's been rubbing elbows with the listers for decades. But why Steve? Why now? Well, it seems that Diddy's arrest has opened a Pandora's box of secrets, and Steve Harvey's name is slowly being dragged through the mud.
And I remember, like, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but like, I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside.
But what really has people talking is the timing of Marjorie Harvey's decision to file for divorce. It's almost too perfect, right? On the very day that Diddy is taken into custody, Marjorie is already lining up to cut ties with Steve. It's as if she knows something big is about to hit, and she's trying to get ahead of it. Some people are saying this is a classic move to protect her assets, especially with all the potential lawsuits and scandals that could be coming their way. After all, Steve's fortune is huge. He's reportedly worth hundreds of millions of dollars thanks to his TV shows, book deals, and business ventures. If there's any truth to the rumors linking him to Diddy's mess, you can bet there are going to be plenty of lawyers trying to get their hands on that fortune.
That this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Marjorie and Steve's relationship has always seemed picture perfect, right? The happy couple who blended their families and appeared on red carpets looking like they were straight out of a romance novel. Well, not so fast. Behind the scenes, there have been whispers for years that things weren't as rosy as they seemed. In fact, rumors of divorce have been circulating long before Diddy's arrest even happened. The public just didn't know how bad things really were.
Hey, Marjorie, the thing that Marjorie's not telling you all.
Telling everybody's
Yes.
business? Okay, now don't let me start telling Steve's business.
And now, with Diddy's arrest, it looks like everything's coming to a head. There's speculation that Marjorie's sudden move to file for divorce isn't just about ending her marriage, it's about protecting the Harvey empire. Imagine if Steve's connection to Diddy gets fully exposed, and Marjorie's wealth is at risk of being tied up in the fallout. It makes perfect sense that she would want to get out while she still can, securing her share of the fortune before everything potentially blows up.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named.
But here's where things get even murkier. There are plenty of conspiracy theories swirling around that this whole divorce might be nothing more than a strategic move. Think about it. What if Marjorie and Steve had been planning this for months, knowing that Diddy's arrest was inevitable? By filing for divorce now, they could be trying to distance their assets from whatever legal troubles are coming Steve's way. In other words, this could all be an elaborate ploy to keep their money safe from the prying hands of the law.
I saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
And let's not forget that Marjorie isn't exactly a stranger to scandal. People who've been paying attention to her past know that she's had some shady connections before. Her first 2 husbands were both involved in major criminal enterprises, which makes it hard to believe that she's just an innocent victim here. If anything, Marjorie knows how to navigate sticky situations like this, and some would argue she's been preparing for a moment like this her whole life.
Please, stop. Stop ignoring the red flags in your relationship and thinking you can change a man.
But let's not jump too far ahead. At the heart of all this drama is a relationship that once looked like the ultimate Hollywood love story. Steve and Marjorie Harvey have been married for over a decade, and from the outside looking in, it seemed like they had it all: fame, fortune, and a blended family that Steve constantly gushed about on his shows. Marjorie was by his side during some of his biggest moments, and together, they seemed like an unstoppable power couple.
But what would you say? What's been the key to our success?
The fact that you respect me and I respect you.
So what went wrong? Was it Diddy's arrest that was the final nail in the coffin for their marriage? Or had things been crumbling long before that? If you dig a little deeper, there are signs that the cracks in their relationship have been showing for a while. Steve's been noticeably stressed in recent months, and there have been rumors of tension between him and Marjorie over their finances. Some say that Steve's been throwing himself into his work more than ever, which is often a telltale sign that something's going wrong at home.
Why doesn't the government want him to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
Whatever the case may be, Marjorie filing for divorce on the same day Diddy got arrested is no coincidence. It's almost as if she knew what was coming and decided to jump ship before it was too late. And can you really blame her? With Diddy's name being dragged through the mud and Steve's name now potentially being linked to those same scandals, Marjorie is doing what anyone in her position would do, protecting herself and her fortune.
That clearly there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
But here's the kicker. Some people are saying that Marjorie's not just trying to protect herself from the scandal, she's been planning this for years. In fact, there are rumors that she's been looking for an out from her marriage with Steve for a while now. Diddy's arrest just gave her the perfect excuse to finally make her move. Think about it. If Steve does end up being tied to Diddy's downfall, Marjorie can wash her hands of the whole thing and claim she had no part in it. And if Steve manages to escape unscathed, well, she's still walking away with a massive chunk of his fortune.
My wife, she got up with me. She was the best.
So, is Marjorie a victim in all of this, or is she playing the long game? It's hard to say for sure, but one thing's clear, she's not sticking around to find out. Filing for divorce on the day of Diddy's arrest was a bold move, and it's got people talking. And with rumors of Steve's involvement in Diddy's dark side continuing to swirl, this divorce is only going to get messier. Now, let's talk about the theories that are flying around about why Steve might be connected to all this. Some people are saying that Steve attended a number of Diddy's infamous parties over the years, and those parties weren't just your typical celebrity get-togethers. There are stories about what went on behind closed doors, and while Steve's always maintained a squeaky clean public image, there are whispers that he wasn't exactly an innocent bystander.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap industry.
Imagine the headlines if it turns out that Steve was involved in some of the scandalous activities that are now being linked to Diddy. It would be a complete 180 from the image he spent decades building. Steve's whole career is built on being a family-friendly guy who gives relationship advice and cracks jokes about everyday life. If it turns out that he was part of Diddy's inner circle, it would shatter the public's perception of him in an instant. But here's where things get tricky. Steve's been in the industry for a long time, and he knows how to play the game. If he did have any involvement in Diddy's world, he's likely been doing everything he can to keep it under wraps. But as Diddy's legal troubles pile up, there's a chance that more and more people are going to start talking. And once that happens, Steve's carefully crafted image might just come crashing down.
And I hung the phone up. I went upstairs. I said, Marjorie down. I said, Marjorie, we got a problem. When I explained it to her, Marjorie started crying.
The timing of all of this couldn't be worse for Steve. He's still a major figure in the entertainment world, with multiple TV shows and business ventures that rely on his clean-cut persona. If these rumors turn out to be true, it could spell the end of his career as we know it. And that's not even taking into account the financial hit he could take if Marjorie's divorce goes through and she walks away with a huge chunk of his assets.
Stand-up comedian, entertainer, television host, family man. But most importantly, I happen to be a man of faith.
As for Marjorie, she's no stranger to scandal, and she knows how to navigate the murky waters of Hollywood. If she's truly trying to distance herself from Steve before the full extent of his connection to Diddy is revealed, it's a smart move. After all, she's got her own reputation to protect, and the last thing she needs is to be dragged down by Steve's potential downfall. But here's the thing, Marjorie might not be as innocent as she seems. People are already starting to question her motives, especially considering her past connections. It's no secret that Marjorie was once involved with some less than reputable figures before she married Steve, and some are saying that this divorce is just another calculated move in a long line of strategic decisions.
Controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
This leads us to the bigger question, is Marjorie really the victim here, or is she playing a game of her own? Maybe Diddy's arrest was just the push she needed to finally make her move and secure her financial future. Maybe she's been planning this all along, and now that Steve's name is being dragged into the mess, she's jumping ship while she still can. A lot of people have been quick to point out that she's not exactly a stranger to shady or pie-shirt. In fact, Marjorie Harvey's history is littered with connections to some pretty questionable characters. It seems like everywhere you turn, there's another story that paints her in a much more complex light than the picture-perfect socialite we've seen by Steve's side for the last decade.
Had clients describe MDC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. Marjorie wasn't always living the luxurious life we see her flaunting today on Instagram, jet-setting to exotic locations and rubbing elbows with celebrities. Long before she became Mrs. Steve Harvey, Marjorie was linked to some serious trouble. She was previously married to two different men who were heavily involved in less than legal activities, and their connections have cast a long shadow over her reputation ever since.
Let's first say that you shouldn't feel guilty for anything.
First, there's Jim Townsend, her first husband, who was a major figure in a large criminal ring. He was sentenced to life in prison, and while Marjorie was never formally charged with any wrongdoing, there have been persistent rumors that she knew far more about his operations than she let on. Some even say that authorities were building a case against her at the time, and it was only because Townsend struck a deal with the Falcon in a that she managed to avoid legal trouble. He served 26 years before receiving a pardon, and during his time behind bars, Townsend reportedly started writing a tell-all memoir about his life with Marjorie. In it, he supposedly claims that Marjorie was no innocent bystander, and while she divorced him before he'd served 5 years of his sentence, the details of their relationship raise a lot of questions about what kind of life she was living back then.
Now you got the Diddy situation where he jumps on a private jet, they say yesterday, and is on his way to the Cape Verde Islands.
And then there's Donald Woods, Marjorie's second husband, who also has ties to illegal activities. Woods, too, found himself on the wrong side of the law, leaving Marjorie with another cloud of suspicion hanging over her head. It's clear that she's had her fair share of involvement with powerful men who weren't exactly walking the straight and narrow. So when we look at the current situation with Steve Harvey, it's hard to ignore Marjorie's past and wonder if her motivations aren't as pure as they might seem. Could it be that Marjorie has a pattern of aligning herself with men who live in the fast lane, and then jumping ship when things start to go south? It's a theory that's gaining traction, especially as people start connecting the dots between her previous marriages and her current situation. Marjorie has always seemed to have a knack for finding herself at the center of some serious drama, and the timing of her divorce filing, right on the heels of Diddy's arrest, has only added more fuel to the fire.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
And let's not forget that this isn't the first time Marjorie's been tied to Diddy. Remember a few years back when Lori Harvey, Marjorie's daughter, was linked to Diddy in a romantic way? The tabloids had a field day with that one. Lori, who was in her early 20s at the time, was seen hanging out with Diddy, sparking all kinds of rumors about their relationship. People were shocked, especially since Lori had previously been linked to Diddy's son, Justin Combs. That's right, Lori was rumored to have dated both father and son at different points in time, which raised a lot of eyebrows and left people questioning what Marjorie thought of the whole situation.
You are the prize. Don't give yourself to anybody.
But here's where things get really interesting. Marjorie didn't seem to have a problem with Lori's connection to Diddy, despite the obvious controversy surrounding the age difference and the awkward family dynamics. In fact, some sources say that Marjorie even encouraged the relationship. Now, let that sink in for a minute. Marjorie Harvey, the woman who's now trying to distance herself from the fallout of Diddy's arrest, was seemingly fine with her daughter dating the very man who's at the center of this storm. It raises the question, just how much did Marjorie know about Diddy's lifestyle, and was she turning a blind eye to the warning signs?
Of course. There's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
It's easy to point fingers at Steve Harvey and speculate about his involvement in Diddy's wild parties, but Marjorie's past decisions don't exactly paint her in the best light either. If she was okay with Lori being involved with Diddy, does that mean she knew what kind of things were going on behind closed doors? And if she knew, why didn't she step in to protect her daughter from what's now being revealed as a seriously troubling situation?
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
Some people are starting to wonder if Marjorie's sudden decision to file for divorce is less about distancing herself from Steve's potential scandal and more about protecting her own reputation. After all, if more details about Diddy's parties come to light, and it turns out that Marjorie knew what was going on all along, her image could take a serious hit. Filing for divorce now could be a way for her to get ahead of the story and make it seem like she's cutting ties with Steve because of his involvement, when in reality, she might have been just as close to the situation as he was. Let's also not forget about the financial implications. Marjorie has enjoyed a life of luxury since marrying Steve, and with the rumors about Diddy's arrest and the potential fallout for those connected to him, it's possible that she's looking to secure her assets before things get even messier. By filing for divorce, Marjorie could be positioning herself to walk away with a significant portion of Steve's fortune, all while keeping her hands clean from whatever legal troubles might come their way.
So I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this, he think he this. You don't even know me.
But at the end of the day, we can't ignore the fact that Steve Harvey isn't the only one who might have some explaining to do. The fact that Marjorie has a history of aligning herself with powerful men who end up in trouble raises a lot of red flags. Is she really just trying to protect herself, or is there something more to her sudden desire to cut ties with Steve? And speaking of Diddy, let's take a closer look at what's happening with him right now. His arrest has sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, and the allegations against him are nothing short of explosive. With everything from illegal activities to more personal controversies being brought to light, it seems like Diddy's entire empire is crumbling before our eyes. But what's next for him? What kind of consequences is he facing, and how might this impact the people who have been associated with him for so long? So experts are weighing in, and the consensus isn't looking good for Diddy. Some legal analysts are saying that the evidence against him is overwhelming, and with the FBI involved, it's only a matter of time before more people start coming forward with their own stories. As more victims and witnesses are interviewed, the scope of Diddy's legal troubles could expand, and we could see even more high-profile names dragged into the fray. And let's not forget about the conditions Diddy might be facing if he's convicted. With charges as serious as the ones he's dealing with, Diddy could be looking at a long time behind bars. And for someone who's spent decades living a life of luxury, the reality of prison could be a harsh wake-up call. While he's always been the life of the party in the music world, that same charisma isn't going to do him much good in the court of law.
If the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
But it's not just Diddy's future that's hanging in the balance. As his legal battles unfold, we're likely going to see a ripple effect that impacts everyone who's been connected to him over the years. From business partners to close friends, the fallout from Diddy's arrest could be far-reaching, and it's possible that some of the biggest names in entertainment are bracing themselves for the storm that's coming. As more details emerge about Diddy's case, people are going to start questioning the relationships they once idolized. What we thought we knew about the glamorous lives of these celebrities might turn out to be nothing more than a carefully crafted facade. And as the curtain gets pulled back, we're left wondering how many other secrets are hiding in plain sight. But one thing's for sure, this scandal is far from over. With every new headline, the web of connections between Diddy, Steve Harvey, Marjorie, and others gets more tangled. And as the legal drama plays out, we're going to see more and more names get dragged into the spotlight. Will Steve Harvey manage to escape unscathed, or will more revelations tie him deeper into Diddy's world? Is Marjorie truly the victim, or is she playing a calculated game to protect herself from the fallout? And what about Lori? How much did she know about Diddy's lifestyle when she was linked to him? And what does this mean for her future? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think there's more to this story that we don't know yet? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.